Hey everyone, thanks for watching another video by CoachUp.sg. My name is Coach Lex. I'll be helping you today to overcome self-sabotaging behavior and to learn to stop being your own worst enemy. For those who don't know CoachUp is a company that provides career coaching services to individuals who want to progress within their current role, to individuals who want to leave their current role and join a different company, as well as individual leadership coaching, setting and helping individuals, managers, and leaders to achieve their leadership vision. On top of that, we provide workshops regarding DISC, MBTI, and Strength Finder, as well as workshops such as overcoming negativity in the workplace. And today's webinar or today's recording actually is a derivative of one of our in-person workshops, increasing productivity by 10x. All right, self-sabotage, we've all been there. It's something that honestly, every single one of us have experienced it at one point or another. Question is, did you actually realize it was you who was standing in the way of your good intentions? So, despite everything we want, we sometimes find ourselves literally sabotaging our own progress. And the problem is that most of the time we aren't really aware of the fact that it's us that's sabotaging. So maybe this sounds familiar to anyone. When you think back of a time when you had like a big project to complete, you had the resources, you had the time, you have the skills, you have everything you need within you to succeed. However, you found yourself watching Netflix, browsing the internet, maybe you found like a very nice picture of a beach somewhere in a place that you know you'll never go to. Nonetheless, you looked up which hotels you would like to go to. You figured out the most cost-efficient flights. You could already find new little cute cafes all around the corner. That, my friend, that is procrastination in action. It's where you are blocking your progress towards your goals. Now, what are some of the root causes of procrastination? It's not something that just happens. While it may feel to you like you have no choice over your behavior, it's actually a problem that is rooted deeply in your subconscious mind. Today we'll be talking or referencing the subconscious mind quite a bit. Often, in the case of procrastination, there are some limiting beliefs holding you back from achieving. It could be, for example, a fear of success. It could be a belief that you might or might not be able to achieve anything, or some childhood experience that is still haunting you many years down the line. Whatever it is, these behaviors keep you stuck in your cycle of self-sabotage. Now, just very hypothetically, consider someone who grew up and being told they're not good enough, whether it's by their school or society, or maybe nobody ever told it, but they told themselves, this is my observation, I am not good enough. So as an adult, this belief might manifest in self-sabotaging behaviors. For example, avoiding opportunities because you're not good enough for them, right? Or avoiding falling in love because you're not good enough for them, now are you? Now these are, again, the subconscious beliefs that have formed at any stage during our lifetime, mostly when we were kids, that are still dictating our behavior today. Other more common sense barriers to progress are obviously lifestyle barriers. Now, there's a lot of people who have great intentions, right? Imagine you on your 1st of January, I'm gonna get ripped, I'm gonna eat healthy, I'm gonna be better with my finances, I'm gonna X, Y, and Z. Now, ultimately, you might go to the gym a few times, but you haven't set up a system or a lifestyle that actually supports you in achieving your goals. So you might be saying, yeah, I want to go to the gym in the early morning, but you don't sleep early enough. Or you say, I'm going to go to the gym after work, but during work you exhaust yourself so much that you just really can't bring yourself there anymore. So we often find ourselves stuck in our own system of obligations and our own system of routines that misalign with achieving our newly formed goal. So obviously in the short term, it can lead to some frustration and some ideas of why am I unable to stick to my goal, or even worse, I never stick to my goals. Goals, I can never achieve them. Now that is a problem, because in the short term it might look like you missed out on a few opportunities to go to the gym or to eat healthy or to be wiser with your finance. The longer term, you're actually telling your brain that it's okay to not pursue goals. It's okay for you to give up on goals very simply. So you reinforce a belief, or maybe if you haven't had, you build it, a belief that it's okay to not follow through. Now, over a longer period of time, this leads to maybe an unfulfilled life or a lack of self-confidence, maybe even a negative self-image, which could have a detrimental effect on your well-being. Right? You might get very stressed, anxious, depressed, all because at some point you associated for your subconscious mind that goals are something to avoid, or goals are something that you can easily miss out on. Now on the next slide, value conflicts. I have the slides over here, that's why I'm just having a look there. When we think of our identity, our values are one of the core principles, or the core principles that guide our behavior, our thoughts, the way we interpret the world. And that means they also guide our decisions to a very large extent. Now, misaligning your goals that you want to achieve with your values makes it incredibly hard for you to achieve anything. Now, listen to this example. Imagine your number one value, family. You love family more than anything. And because of that, you've decided that you're going to pick up this project. This project could lead to a promotion. This project could lead to a whole relocation of your family to this awesome place where you guys also always wanted to go to. It's just that it's a really tough project. It requires you to work late, maybe even overseas. It requires you to spend time away from your family. Now, you can see that the intention of doing that project well is very much aligned with the value of family. But at the same time, you're not practicing the value of family because you're away, you work late, you don't have time to hang out with your kids or your spouse. And that leads to inner conflict, guys. I'm going to say it one more time. It's very straightforward, not good. Inner conflict is never a good thing. So in the short term, inner conflict, stress, maybe even some blaming behavior. In the longer term, obviously it will affect your relationship. You might even become resentful towards your spouse or kid, not because they did anything wrong, but because of your internal misalignment. Another thing, you could become very disgruntled with your job or the project or your manager. So the point here is aligning your actions, your goals with your values is very important. Or, as we've learned during our NLP Master Coach training, realign your values with your new goals. That's something for a very different webinar. We'll dive into that at some point. We will be giving NLP trainings in Europe within the next year and a half, I think. And obviously there we can definitely work on values. So this is on the value conflicts. Now, much more straightforward. I want to get us away from the subconscious mind for a little bit. Planning. Now, it's very straightforward. Proper planning is crucial for follow-through. Without a plan, people get overwhelmed. You don't know what is priority. You feel like you have to do every little thing instead of, look at this guy on the sheet, right? He has a million booklets there. He has, I don't know how many Post-its, but he's obviously swamped. If he were to have proper planning, he would have said, hey, this is the direction I'm going to. That means these things are important to me. I'm only going to do these things, and we're just going to stack up these booklets and Post-its nicely in the corner of my room because they're not priority, instead of letting them overwhelm his entire cluttered office. Oftentimes, when we are confronted with a lot of tasks, maybe even a lot of products, we become paralyzed. And it's important to realize that if you want to achieve anything, you don't want to go from, let's say, the ground level to the top of Mount Everest. You actually want to go from the ground level to the base camp, to camp 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. I don't know how many there are. Because then you have a very clear direction, you know exactly what the next steps are, you don't get overwhelmed with what you have to do, you just actually have to get it done. So obviously, when you're swamped, guess what? You're going to get home, you're going to be in a slightly less good mood, you might be a little bit snappy towards your spouse, you might spend less quality time as you had imagined. On the longer term, that's going to affect your happiness, that's going to affect your mood, your morale, your excitement. Overall, it puts you in a sort of a negative downward spiral, which has a detrimental effect on your well-being. And this is, I won't claim that I know everything, because there's a lot of things I don't know that I don't know. Self-knowledge is one that that a lot of coaches come with to us for. They want to achieve a certain outcome, they are blocked, but they don't know how or how to unblock. Now, understanding what works for you is key to your success. Knowing what works for me is key for my success. We all have different strengths, different weaknesses, different motivators, different fears. And if when we become aware of these, we're able to use them to our advantage. Now, for example, I am a morning person. I wake up early in the morning, and in the morning, oh, I love it. My brain is at its very best. So all of the tasks that require a lot of cognitive load or cognitive computing power, however you want to call it, I schedule those in the morning, so that by the time I've done the tough part, I can go over to the relatively easier part, which is dealing with stakeholders, managing my team, for example, where actually they do all the cognitive part. I just make sure they're walking on the right path. Now, if you're a morning person, that's a very simple hack to do. If you're an evening person, then shift all of the cognitive load into the evening. I also mentioned motivators, positive and fear. Knowing what drives you, either positive or negative, can be a huge motivator. For example, if you have a fear of failure, you could actually reframe yourself to, instead of delving in procrastination because you're afraid to not succeed, you could actually harness the power of that deep-rooted fear to learn as much as you can so you won't be failing. So that's an away from person. Other people that have a very clear goal, they're much more a toward person. They know exactly what they want and how they're going to get there. Again, these are NLP principles, and we're happy to guide you through any of those NLP modules on a one-to-one call. So we're nearing the end here, which is great. We just have 2 more slides on all of your potential blockers that are withholding you from achieving what you want before we go into how you can overcome your self-sabotaging behavior. Now, accountability, a lack of accountability, it's as simple as that. Without accountability, the world would be in chaos. Okay, that was a little bit too dramatic. Without accountability, we are much more likely to let things slide, especially when you are the only one who knows about your goals. So if you don't have a clear goal and you don't hold yourself accountable, you cannot check in with yourself if you're actually doing the right thing. If you're not sharing your goal with somebody else, guess what? Nobody else can hold you accountable to the things that you said that you would be doing. Now, in the short term, it's very simple, right? You're just like, today I'm not going to go to the gym. Guess what's happened tomorrow? Nobody knows I want to go to the gym anyway, so might as well skip it again. And then you're stuck in your almost infinite loop of paying subscriptions without ever going to the gym. So it's important to overcome this immediate disappointment and this immediate, instant gratification of not wanting to go. Over the long term, though, a lack of accountability, again, can reinforce that pattern in your mind that it is okay to not follow through, that it is okay to not achieve your goals, that it is okay to spiral down into a more negative loop. So again, guys, you've heard it several times already today. Do not build that system of beliefs for yourself that it's okay to fail. We talked about this in different shapes and forms already. This is about the mindset itself, right? Negative self-talk. In the back of your head, you have this voice. It's constantly saying things to you, such as, maybe not today, maybe later, I don't feel like it right now. All those kind of thoughts are valid to have. I'm going to ask you to do one thing. And if there's one thing you're going to take away from this 15 to 20 minute video today, you're going to take a block note, a pen, a paper, and you're going to make 2 columns on it, positive and negative. Then tomorrow or today, whenever you watch this, you're going to listen to that little voice in the back of your head, and you're going to write down the things it says, especially those that start with if, then, or because, or why. Those kind of words trigger or indicate that there's a belief coming up. Now, once you write all those down, you will be able to visualize and read and see how much stuff you tell yourself on a daily basis that is not helping you achieve your goals. Then, once you have that list, you're going to question those things that you are disagreeing with consciously. So whatever your subconscious said might not be relevant for you today or any longer, or challenge the belief in whatever way you can, because once you start questioning beliefs, the less powerful they actually become. So listen to the self-talk, write it down, question it. So that's the awareness, the unlearning, and also a little bit of the practicing. Now, obviously, you can also not just reframe and talk about the negative, you can also make the positive beliefs even stronger, right? You want to relearn those. You want to repeat those more frequently in your mind so that you are wiring yourself for success as opposed to wiring yourself for failure. So do that today. Write it down. Start challenging that fear. Start challenging those thoughts. Start challenging those beliefs, and work towards being kinder to yourself. Work towards building a system that helps you as opposed to a system that holds you back from success. And you'll notice that once you start replacing these negative thoughts with positive ones, your actions will become more consistent, because you're no longer allowing yourself or actually actively telling yourself that it's okay to fail. Now, once you start seeing those actions succeed, guess what's going to happen? You're going to feel great about yourself. And once you feel great about yourself, your mental health improves, your desirability improves, your happiness improves, everything starts getting better. So do this. Start by writing down your beliefs. Now, just to quickly wrap it up, 5 key takeaways on overcoming self-sabotage. Again, these are 5 takeaways. Cultivate self-awareness. We talked about this. Write that list. Get more comfortable with listening to yourself. Challenge those limiting beliefs and establish accountability. Now, again, it's not just about you and you, it's about somebody else who can hold you accountable. This has 2 main benefits. 1, somebody can ask, hey, did you do that thing you told me you were going to do? 2 is it is somebody, a coach, a mentor, a friend, whatever it's going to be, that person can help you stay on track, as well as giving you a different perspective, right? You might feel about a certain thing a certain way, and that person might say, actually, I interpret this very differently. That helps you reframe your thoughts and, again, keeps you on track. Embrace incremental progress. We haven't talked about it that much in this video. I did it in the earlier video, I think this week. And the example I gave was, hey, I had 1 or 2 tennis lessons and I wasn't asked to represent my country on Wimbledon. Right? Very straightforward. Get comfortable with having a long-term goal and making small steps towards it. Get comfortable with getting to base camp 1 and camp 2, as opposed to saying, oh, I want to climb Mount Everest. It's not the way how we are able to motivate ourselves and measure our progress on a minuscule level. And that comes into the last point, cultivate a growth mindset. A growth mindset means a bunch of things. Most importantly, it's about the willingness to learn from your experiences, positive or negative. There is no failure, there's only feedback. Once you start embracing that you're able to learn from the things that you try to avoid, you actually start noticing that failure becomes a natural part of a learning process. And when that is the case, this shifts your perspective into a perspective of, I can do it, I just can't do it perfectly yet. It helps you persevere, it helps you pick yourself up, because you got the learning, you have a new way to approach it, you have a new start or a new way to get the same outcome. So take these 5 strategies that I shared with you today. Overcoming self-sabotage is not a one-day thing. It's a lot of your subconscious mind that takes time. But now you have all these tools in your hand. Make that list, start challenging yourself, and start becoming your best friend as opposed to potentially your worst enemy when it comes to achieving your goals. Now, first of all, thanks everyone for joining today or watching today's videos. Very briefly about CoachUp. So we're dedicated to helping you and anybody else overcome their self-sabotage and achieve your full potential. whether it's through our personalized one-on-one coaching, whether it's our DST workshops or any other training programs and workshops that we provide. We have the tools to help you or your team succeed. Visit our website www.coachup.sg for more information. If the workshop you're interested in isn't listed, reach out, let us know. We're happy to help you out. Cheers, everyone.